Hi guys, welcome to our daily encounter. Isaiah 33 was in all likelihood written to the people in Jerusalem at the time in which Sennacherib, king of Assyria, had come in and invaded Judah. And Rabshakeh had come with this message trying to intimidate the people. And it's somewhere along that time when this message seems to have been written, and it's written as a word of encouragement for the people. It's a word of judgment against Assyria, but it also has in it a messianic hope and even an immediate hope that they could rely on to see that God was going to deliver them and that Assyria would pay for the way that they had dealt with God's people. And in the midst of all this, in chapter 33 and verse 17, we have this statement. It says, "Your eyes will behold the king in his beauty. They will see a far distant land." That's a very encouraging word. If you think about the situation historically, the people are in Jerusalem. Rabshakeh had come with this mighty military force. It was closing in on Jerusalem. The people probably felt enclosed. Obviously, they felt the fact that Assyria was so close to them and there was no escape they would have felt. And here, this message says that their eyes would behold the king in his beauty and they would see a far distant land. In other words, this idea of being under a siege, being surrounded, being closed in by the Assyrian army, that situation would change, and it would literally change overnight. And they would see a far distant land. In other words, they would be freed then to leave the city, to travel. They'd have the open country before them because there would be no more oppression. There'd be no more pressure from the Assyrian army coming up against them. And so they would see the king in his beauty, that is God himself, Yahweh himself, coming in to deliver them in a very miraculous way and allowing them then to be able to spread out on the land and not be closed in. And so historically, this would have been very encouraging for the people and would have given them hope in this dire situation. But there's obvious messianic allusions to this as well. Your eyes will behold the king in his beauty, which looks ahead to the time when Christ himself would come and establish his kingdom here on this earth, and they would see a far distant land. In other words, it would be a kingdom that would spread to the ends of the earth. And certainly the kingdom of Christ would be one that would be all the time just spreading and spreading and spreading and to the ends of the earth, spreading from heart to heart, from person to person, as the gospel message is proclaimed throughout the whole earth. And so it has this messianic illusion as well, that when the king comes and the people see the king, he's going to have a kingdom that will start out small but will spread. But there's also a message here for us as well, personally, because oftentimes we feel hemmed in by our situations. Oftentimes our world becomes very small and very compact, just as it did for the people in Jerusalem at this time. Our world shrinkens down as the pressures of life begin to weigh upon us, whether it's because we're dealing with health issues, or we're dealing with financial issues, or issues at work, maybe national problems. And we just begin to feel very closed in by our problems, by our situations, our circumstances that just press in on us. And perhaps we feel as though we are under a siege, as though we too are hemmed in and we have nowhere to go, and we feel like there's no escape. Well, we can have the same hope that they had, or a similar hope, in that we too can look ahead to the time when we will see the king in his beauty. We will behold the king in his beauty when Christ comes again. And when we find the resurrection hope come to a reality, when we see the new heavens and new earth come in which we will be able to spread out over all of God's new creation and be able to expand there and no longer be pressed in by sickness, by sorrow, by death, or any of these things, but we will live with him eternally, and we will be able to have the freedom to live without the burdens of this world, the trials of this world, and we will be released from all of these trials that we face. And so when we feel hemmed in and we feel under siege by this world and the pressures of this world, let's remember that there is a day in which the Lord will free us, just as he did for the inhabitants of Jerusalem in connection to Assyria. He'll do that for us as well in connection to the world. One day we will find liberty. One day we will find freedom. One day our King will come and rescue us. And he may do it in our death, when we enter into heaven with him, and we will be with him and see him in his beauty, or if he returns again before we die, and he ushers in resurrection and new creation. In either case, the situation will be the same. We'll find freedom from this world, freedom from the cares and burdens of this world, and we will live in liberty before him, and we will be able to live eternally with him in that beautiful state where there is no sickness, no crying, no death, no sorrow, just exuberant joy for eternity. So let's be encouraged by this today as we do our reading. And with that, guys, I do thank you for watching the video today. Hope you guys have a great day. Love you guys. God bless.